Hello and welcome to another new episode of Learning Simplified. Today in this tutorial, we are going to learn about CSS3 transform properties. Now in the last episode, we had discussed the transition property on some dimensions or on the background property. But here we will be discussing on the same effect on some transform properties. But before moving on to some further discussion, we will make two major changes over here. So in the first case, if we get back to our project and if we hover our mouse into this yellow box, we will see that there's no hover animation is taking place. On the other hand, if we want to make some animation property in effect, then all we need to do, we need to move our mouse into this red box, and we will see that immediately after, this box is now changing its background color property. So we want that everything changes. The animation in practicality starts from this point when we move our mouse into this yellow box, and then we will see that this change in background is taking place. So that is why we will be getting back to our project, and here we will change this one. We will be copying this particular thing from here, and here we will be putting this trans checker element first, and then we will be mentioning on which element it should be, the immediate effect should be taking place. So if we press Ctrl S, and now if we get back to our project and if we move our mouse into this yellow box, we will see that the same animation is taking place, but this time it is due to hovering of the mouse into this particular yellow box, not only upon moving this particular red box as we have seen over here. So what we have done over here, we just placed this particular parent from here, and we said that on hovering this particular parent element, that means this yellow box or this yellow field over here, it will be performing this hover action, due to which this particular trans checker child element, it will be changing its background color from red to blue. And this is the exact thing that is happening over here. We can see that it is practically performing everything. On mouse hovering, this red box, it is now turning into blue, but on mouse out condition, this particular red box, it is now returning back, or it is now retaining its original background property, which is red. And in the second case, all we are going to do, we are going to put a background image here. Instead of this particular background color, we will be putting a background image over here. So that is why we are about to get back to our project, and here all we are going to do, into this trans checker child, first of all we are changing this, we are practically changing this width from 100 pixels to 300 pixels. The height will be remaining same and everything will be remaining same except this particular background color. So there it goes. So this is the images folder, and here we come. Here is the fox image small.png, which states that it has a width of, it has a dimension of 300 by 100. So we are going to use this one. So press F2 and copy this name along with the extension name over here, and get back to your project, and here put down this one. Now if we get back to our project, we will see that this fox image is now in its position and it is alright, but it is still now performing some kind of animation over here. So we have to rectify this. That is why instead of this background, we will be now putting this transform property. Now what is a transform? Transform is transformation of elements in 2D or in 3D platform. It needs some transform functions to take place, And the transform functions that we had mentioned earlier, they are rotate, translate, scale, and skew. Now all of these transform functions, those practically depends upon some coordinates to perform their animation. In case of 2D animation, we rely on two coordinates, that is the position of the element along the x-axis direction and the same in the y-axis direction, which can be presented as we are now seeing into this particular diagram. But in case of a 3D animation, a third coordinate is added to this particular diagram, which is z coordinate. That means the depth of an element. But in some cases, the 3D animation might not be seen to take place, as we are presently working on a 2D element, those which has no depth over here. Now let's move on to discuss about our first transform function, which is rotate. So we can see that in the first case we are using this transform properties. Those should be changed and those should be executing some animation over here. So instead of this background, we do not need any kind of background or property changes over here, but else we are providing here this transform function, and in the first case we are putting this rotate x condition. In case of transform, while we are using rotate as our transform function, then we need to mention the angular deviation in terms of degree. So if we have provided this rotate x condition, that means we are trying to rotate our element along the x-axis in a 2D application view. So that is why we will have to put a kind of angular deviation over here, and it is this one. Now if we just reload and get back to our project, we will see that on mouse hovering, it is now having some sort of angular deviation over here. There it goes. We have mentioned that this transform to be of a duration, to be a tenure of 2 seconds. That means it will be taking 2 seconds to perform this particular animation. So let's reduce this tenure. Instead of 2s, we are now providing here 1s, that means 1 seconds. And get back and you will see that it is now moving over here. So we can see that this particular image element, it is rotating along the x-axis at an angular value of 75 degree. In the same manner, if instead of rotate x, we now put here rotate y.